I had been very ill with asthma for several weeks following the death of my father. I was also 18 weeks pregnant. This particular night, I was feeling extremely weak and out of breath. My husband was on night shift, so my mother stayed with the kids and myself until it was bedtime. It was about 11:30 p.m. when I awoke and knew that I was in great trouble. I could not breathe, and I was starting to really panic. I put myself back on the nebulizer and had 3 or so doses of my medication. It didn't have any effect. I decided I should call my mother and get her over with the kids so that I could drive myself to the hospital. By the time I got myself downstairs to wait for my mother, I knew that I could wait no longer. I was starting to slip away. I rang 000 for an ambulance. My mother and the ambulance arrived at the same time. I was already slipping in and out of consciousness. As they were working on me, I suddenly felt extremely calm, and not scared at all. I felt overwhelmed to tell Mum to let the kids know how much I loved them, and also my husband and mother. While all this is happening in my mind, the paramedics were frantically trying to save my life without harming my unborn baby. I knew that I was dying and it didn't bother me at all. I just felt so calm. At this point, I passed out and stopped breathing. I can remember feeling incredible love around me. I didn't know where it was coming from, but it was all around me. I felt like I was in a tunnel, and at the top was a light. I felt like I was flying through the tunnel at incredible speed. But as I was going through, I could sense all the things I had done through my life, and all the people I had known and loved. It was the strangest feeling. When I got to the top, I could sense my father and his love. I could not see him, but I knew that he was there. He was telling me how much he loved me and that he missed us all, but he was okay. He also told me that it wasn't my time yet, that I had 3 children and another on the way that all needed their mother. I was very sad. I wanted to stay at this beautiful place. I couldn't see anything, it just felt beautiful. I also didn't speak to my father, as it was our thoughts that were communicating. With this, I was back on my way to my body. I was traveling at incredible speeds with this amazing noise whirring through my head. As I was coming back, I could see myself in the intensive care unit with my mother and husband standing beside me crying and holding my hands. I could also see the nursing staff, paramedics, and doctor all working on me. They were getting ready to intubate me. With one almighty whoosh, I was back in my body. At the very time that I got the sense of coming back to my body, I began to vomit and regained consciousness. It was 2:30 a.m. I had been unconscious for 2.5 hours. The first thing I said to my mother and husband was, "I've seen the light." Everybody was amazed because I had been so close to death. Next NDE, my mother heard muffled noises during her sleep. She found me in my bed, purplish, struggling, and then, nothing. I was a doll in the arms of my mother. Heart arrest due to suffocation. Next NDE, in 1985, when I was 11 years old, I fell ill with flu. This gradually turned into pneumonia, which then collapsed my left lung. By this time, the doctor rushed me into hospital via ambulance. That night I was placed into an oxygen tent, but I kept burning up. I fell asleep, and I had the strangest dream. In this dream, I dreamt that I was in a hospital room that I didn't recognize. I was in a bed next to 2 machines, one like a heart monitor and another like a breathing machine. At this time, my view had floated up to the ceiling by the clock. I could now see the whole room, where there were 4 nurses in the room. I knew that this meant I was going to die. I saw one nurse in the room beside my body, and this meant I knew I would be okay. The room was very bright, and I wasn't scared at all. All the pain I had while being ill had gone, and I really didn't want to go back into my body. I knew that my family loved me and I loved them, so I made a conscious decision to go back into the body. The next morning I told my mother about this dream I had. This worried her, and she explained to the doctor that I was telling her about my death. The strangest thing is, the doctor said he has heard of many stories where people have premonitions of their death when someone is so gravely ill, and this didn't surprise him. That night I fell asleep again. This I do not remember. By all accounts, I was rushed into intensive care and taken into a room where I was going into cardiac arrest. They put me on a life support machine and on a heart monitor. The doctors explained that when children are dying, they put 4 nurses or doctors in the room, but if the child recovers, they only have 1 nurse in the room. This scared my mother as she remembered what I had told her and became very upset. The good thing is I recovered and they were able to diagnose me with a medical condition and explained why I had suddenly gone into cardiac arrest. I am now 29 years old and working as a graphic designer. This event, though, has definitely changed the views I have on life and everything.